Hey everybody, this is Encasing the Snapshot on Sunday, May 1st. This month we're talking about relationships. They're confusing, they're crazy, we all get involved in them at some point. But it's really important to understand what God believes about it before we jump in and worry about what we believe. We're going to be talking about perspective this week. And by perspective I mean something kind of like this. In this picture, it's a doofy picture, but the scientist obviously has a better view of where the mice are trying to get to than the mice do. And it's the same way with us. God sees everything from above. He sees the whole broad scope of eternity, not just our lives, not just relationships, of everything. And we're down here and we only see a little part of it. But if we could see it from the way He sees it, it makes things a lot easier, and that's what we're going to try and do. That's what we're working on, perspective, this week. This is the very beginning of Genesis. It talks about how God says it is not good for man to be alone. He's going to make a helper that is just right for him. So the Lord caused the man to fall asleep. While the man slept, the Lord took out one of the man's ribs and closed up the opening. Then the Lord God made a woman from that rib, and He brought her to the man. At last, the man exclaimed, "This one is bone from my bone and flesh from my flesh. She will be called woman because she was taken from man." This explains why a man leaves his father and mother and is joined to his wife, and the two are united into one. That last part right there is the really important part. Ever since the beginning, God has made it that people would join together to make a family, that they would leave their own family, their mothers and fathers, and they would start their own family. That's part of God's plan. So right now where you guys are at, you're not that far yet, but right now you still get to hang out with people. Sometimes you call it dating, sometimes you call it hanging out, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever you call it. But I'm going to kind of set up two different ways of looking at this. Courtship and dating. Alright, courtship versus dating. Courtship is simply the period of time, or the art of seeking the love of someone with intent to marry. So, if you're courting someone, that means you're really serious and you think you want to be with that person. That's what courtship is. And dating is simply spending time with someone in whom you are interested. There's a big difference. So courtship is kind of when you say, "I love you," and you hang out a lot. And dating is just trying to get to know somebody. And sometimes we mix those two and the line gets blurry. But if we separate them and realize that dating's okay, but we got to put it in its perspective. And courtship is good as well, but it also has to be separate from dating. It can't just be an instant, "Oh my gosh, I love you more than anything in the whole world, and we're going to be together forever." It's not very realistic. So let's talk more about this. Dating. What are some good things about dating? You find out how your personalities match up. That's a big thing. Some personality types don't get along well together. You find stuff that you like that's in common. You find out differences that you have. Sometimes you can deal with the differences and sometimes you can't. It's better to find out when you're dating than when you've completely sold yourself out and say, "I want to be with this person." It's good to take time to find this stuff out. You get to know someone for who they really are. They might be able to act all nice and normal, but maybe they really aren't. They might act like they're kind, but maybe they're really kind of a jerk. You never know. And another awesome thing about dating is you can hang out in groups. It takes the pressure off people. You don't have to hang out one-on-one all the time. It never leads to anything good. Hang out in groups and it takes the pressure off. It doesn't make you feel like you have to entertain the other person, but you can just enjoy being with them and see how they interact with people, and you get to learn more about them. So that's what dating is about. Next thing, courtship. It means that you're not in a rush. At the same time, while it means that you have fallen for this person and you're really trying to show them how much you love them, it means that you're also not in a rush for things. You don't want to rush to doing stuff. You don't want to rush in to being married, but you want to take your time. That means in courtship, hanging out with each other's families. I got to hang out with Janine's family. a ton when we were courting, and it was the coolest thing ever because I got to know them. No matter what you feel about that person, their family comes with them, so it's cool to get to spend time with them. Show respect for personal space. I mean, don't be those nasty people that walk around in public like hanging all over each other. It's disgusting. There's a place and time to show that you care about someone. You can hug people, but don't be crazy, please. There's no respect in that. Make sure that the person isn't possessive or controlling. You'll find this out when you're courting, when you know you're serious. If they get angry when you hang out with other people, if they tell you where you have to go, you don't need to be with them. Make sure that the person enjoys spending time with you. Like we said before, in dating you want to hang out with a bunch of other people, but in courtship you know that you're serious and you want to hang out with each other, maybe without a bunch of other people around, and you'll find out if they really enjoy spending time with you by themselves, because that's super important, because that's what being married is. You're just with each other all the time. Alright, make sure that they care more about who you are than what you look like. That sounds obvious, but it's really true. After you get to know somebody, you can find out how beautiful they really are, as opposed to when you just look at someone and say, ooh, I want to be with that person. You probably don't. You make them, you idealize them when you think that you like what they look like more than who they are. And also make sure that the person puts you in front of their own desires. That's one of the biggest things in love, is putting someone else in front of your own desires. And there are some red flags that can happen, some stuff that are kind of deal breakers. If you see this, just run away. You guys are too young to get involved in relationships where you have to deal with a bunch of junk. When you see the red flags, just move on. You can be nice about it, tell them, but move on. Here's an example.
What's this? Oh, that's my nice ketchup. The restaurant where we're going doesn't serve it, so...
You mean you're taking it into the restaurant?
I don't go anywhere without my Heinz.
Well, if you're taking this into the restaurant, I'm not going.
Yes. Heinz. It's more than just ketchup.
So you can see, people can be kind of crazy. If you see those red flags, run away, like we talked about before, if they don't respect you, if they don't do that, if they're crazy about that. So guys, next week, on the 15th actually, we're going to be talking more about relationships. We're going to be kind of talking about boundaries and how do you find out what you want in a relationship. There are reasons to start a relationship and there are reasons to not start a relationship. We're going to talk about how you know if you're ready or not and what to do once you get started. So, thank you guys. God bless. Hope you have a good week.